the class today is snowflakes. I would like you to have at least 2 squares, either regular origami paper, white origami paper. You can grab regular copy paper, whatever you've got around the house. Make sure you cut that into a square. You're also going to need some scissors, some tape, and if you're using, I think if you have the magic tape or the frosted tape, that's kind of ideal, then you don't see it. And a bone folder or creaser, you can just use a marker, a Sharpie, that'll work too, whatever you've got going on. I've got this little tool from Japan. This is a bone folder, which is kind of cool, but you can use really anything, but you do want to make sure that you have that because it makes the creases really, really flat and makes for a really successful model. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started, and let me show you what we're going to do. So if you joined the class where I taught the poinsettia flower, this is a variation on that. I found that it worked really well for a snowflake. So it's a little, and it's, I've made some adjustments to it. So here is the snowflake. This is the basic snowflake. From here, you can add folds and really make it your own. So like I've got some variations on the points here that kind of make, you can kind of make it squared off like that, make little points like that. Just straight folding, we can make 2 different kinds of points like this. So there's a lot of opportunity to kind of have some fun and play with this and really make a really cool snowflake. Personally, I like this here where you kind of do this additional pleat. It really makes a beautiful design for the snowflake. So this is going to we're going to use 2 squares for this, and we have a little bit of a prep. There's a cut involved, and then we're going to tape the 2 squares together to make the 8-pointed basic snowflake. This also has a squash, let's see, no, it's a spread squash fold, which is kind of cool. It's right here, super easy to do, and it's really a lot of fun. So let's get started. So we're going to go ahead and make some pre-creases. So you want to first go ahead and fold it into a rectangle. And actually, let's take your second piece. Let's do them both at the same time, and that way we'll be ready to assemble when we're done. So take your second piece and fold that into a rectangle. Nice crisp fold. You can go ahead, after each of these folds, go ahead and use your creasing tool and make it nice and flat. If you're using wax paper, take a little bit more care because it's a little bit more brittle. And you know, just lightly go ahead and use your tool to make the crease on the wax paper. Okay, now go ahead and unfold, rotate, and fold. Oops, I folded 2 at the same time. Fold into a rectangle going the other way. We do that to both squares. Okay, so now we're going to open up one of your squares, turn it over. This is real important. Turn it over. And then now make your 2 triangles. Okay. Nice, good, strong crease. Open it up, rotate, don't turn it over. Rotate, and then fold the other triangle. Make sure that's a good strong crease as well. And then go ahead and put that aside. Take your second sheet, open it up, turn it over. This is where you turn it over, and make sure that you've got mountain folds facing up, right? And then you go ahead and make your triangles. And I see my paper is not cut quite to a square, so my corners are a little off. So open that up, rotate, and fold the other triangle. Boy, that's really off. I'm folding with vellum. So now take your sheet, whichever one you've got, open it up and push up from behind right straight through the middle, and it pops up. And then you gather the paper together and it turns into your preliminary base. Okay, so you should have 2 flaps and 2 flaps. This is what it looks like from the top. And this is what it looks like from the front. Okay, excellent, great, looks great. So take your second model, open it up, push up from behind, push up the middle, and it pops up. Gather your paper, bring it all together like this. Have two flaps going one side, 2 flaps going the other side, and flatten. So now you have 2 preliminary bases. Go ahead and run your folding tool around, make that nice and flat. And then now we're just going to make a halfway mark. So take one of the models, have the open end facing you, like I have it here. And we're just going to bring the point up to the top, and we're just making a little pinch right here because we just want to mark where the center is. Okay, so do that to both models. Just take the top flap, just make a little pinch mark here and unfold. So now you have the halfway mark here. Okay, so now that you've got your one model, you've got your halfway mark here, you've got 2 flaps here, you've got 2 flaps here. So take this top flap here, this point goes right to the center, okay, like that. And then go ahead and fold. And the same for the other side, this flap here, just the top. Bring it to the halfway point and fold. Give this a good crease. We're actually going to reverse the direction of this fold. Let's do that. Let's see. Actually, let's do with one at a time here. So after you do that, turn the model over and bring this point to the center. Now you don't have a center mark here, but you do have the other side that you can line it up with. Like that. And let's do the same for the opposite side. Looks like a water bomb. Some of you might recognize the shape, although it's completely different. And let's do the same for the other piece. So let's put this guy aside. Here's our next model. So again, you're going to take just the top flap and bring it over to the center where you made your pinch mark. And the same for the other point that goes to the center, pinch mark. Run your folding tool over to make it nice and flat. Turn it over and do the same for the other 2. And again, you've got the back side to line up your point. And bring that over to meet that, and it should be like that. So for both pieces, you should have, it should look like this on both sides, right? Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to unfold the 2 flaps that we just folded. We're going to lift up this top layer of paper. And we're going to reverse this point in. Now, if you look at it, you've got one mountain fold on the back side here, and you've got a valley fold on the front. So you want to reverse the direction of the valley fold. And it's really easy to do. So you just open it up, push this point in. It'll follow right along this mountain fold here. When you get to the point, then it's a matter of reversing the direction of that fold that you've created. You'll see the fold there. So you're creating a mountain fold out of that. And then when you flatten it, it will look like this. So we're basically pushing the point in the side here. Okay, I'll repeat that because I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. So we're going to lift up this top flap. Look on the side here. You've already got a mountain fold here. So you want to push this point in, like I'm doing like this. Okay, it'll follow along that mountain fold that's right here. And then you want to reverse the direction of this other fold coming out here. A simple pinch should be able to do it. Just pinch that and then flatten. So turn it over and do the same for the other 2 points. So we're going to turn this thing over, unfold those 2 triangles, lift up the flap. You want to push this in. This will go in because you've already gotten a mountain fold here. And then we're reversing the direction of the valley fold that's up here. It's going to turn into a mountain fold. So you're just going to pinch right along that fold and it should fall into place. Go like that. Lift up. Push this point in. And continue by reversing the direction of the valley fold on top. And then it should flatten just like that. So now do the same for the other piece. So here we go. Unfold the 2 triangles, lift up this flap here, push the corner in. You want to open it up enough so that it's on the edge of that fold there. And then it's a matter of just pushing this in and reversing the direction of the fold. So just follow along that fold that you did. Same for the other side. Open it up, push the point in, and reverse the direction of the valley fold. And then flatten like that. And we've got one more to do on the other side. Unfold, lift the flap up, push the corner in, reverse the direction of the valley fold that's on the top. Push this point in, reverse the direction of the valley fold that's on top, and flatten. And go ahead and use your creasing tool and just go over and make sure that those are nice creases. Now we get to cut. I know, cutting, but it's fun. Sometimes a single cut is a good thing. So now we're going to open up. Now, what's really important is to make sure that you have you open it correctly. So you see that I have it just like this. We want to open it so that these are all the mountain folds. Or excuse me, mountain folds. So it pops up. So you want to open it on this side here. Okay. So it's not this. You open it so that the point is facing up. And then you want to flatten it on the table. Okay. You're going to make a cut. You see you have 4 squares here, right? You're going to make a cut from the middle of the bottom edge here, right straight to the middle. Okay, so go ahead and get your scissors and make your cut. Take your second piece. And remember, okay, so keep that just like that. Okay, that piece. This one, you're going to open it up. And remember I said open it up so that the point is facing up. Point is facing up. And making your cut from the middle, middle of the bottom edge to the center. I think most of you might have seen the traditional way of folding a snowflake, where you fold it into thirds and then you make your cuts, then you open it up and you've got a snowflake. This is, I think, a lot more fun. Okay, so now that you have that, and what we're going to do is start collapsing the petals. So let's start. I have my cut. So orient your model so that it's like this. The cut is on the bottom here, just like this. So do you see here on the right, there's a mountain, a 3-part mountain fold here. Okay. This edge here, let me mark it. That edge, we're going to pinch that and line it up with this fold. So watch before you do it. This gets pushed in. When this gets pushed in, you can identify this edge here. You see how I pinched it? This is in, you pinch this. So this edge is going to line up with that diagonal fold here. So just watch as I do it. So it starts from the center, you line it up, and you only fold it maybe about halfway. You'll see there's a bunch of layers out here, but it won't lay flat. So you just want to fold that part there. Okay. Go ahead and do that. Hold it in that place. Now, what you're going to do is turn it over, and you'll see, so here's where we've had the fold. You see this flap here? So this is going to squash into a triangle. You'll see there's a fold that goes right through the middle of that, which is this. There's that fold. So what we want to do is we want to squash this by lining up that fold with this edge here. So it'll flatten, it'll look just like that. So it'll look like a triangle. Got it? Excellent. Great. Okay. We're going to do the same thing for the other 3. So let's turn the model over. Let's rotate it so that now the cut is on the left-hand side here. Here's our next fold. We want to take this edge and line it up with this diagonal here. Push this part in here, this little arrow in here. You're going to pinch this point here, bring it over and line it up. So it starts from the center and lines up with that diagonal crease, and then fold it, crease it a little bit, turn it over, and squash this corner so that that crease, that existing crease, lines up with this edge here. You should see a crease there. Okay, and flatten that out. Now let's rotate, flip it back over, rotate the model. So now the cut is facing up like this. Here's our next one. You're going to push this in, push it in, and this you'll grab the corner here. This gets lined up with that diagonal that goes here. Okay, so you're going to fold from the center till it stops right about here. turn it over, and squash, open up and squash fold this little triangle here. And make sure that that line, that fold, that existing crease lines up with the edge of that fold. Now it's a good time to go around and crease. Use your tool to make it nice and flat. So guess what? We get to do that to the second piece. So again, make sure that your model is oriented so that you've got, these are mountain folds, right? So make sure these are mountain folds. Start with the opening facing down like this. So again, we're taking this edge and lining it up with this diagonal. And the way we do that is we push in this point here, pinch it so that now you have your edge here. That gets lined up with this diagonal. Oh, I just got marker all over my fingers. Hold it as far as it'll go, which is right about here. Sorry for the dirty mark on my fingers. Turn it over. So you're holding that fold in place. You turn it over. And here's the, get your flat, stick your finger in so it pops open and squash it so that that fold lines up with this edge here. It's all about symmetry on this snowflake. So just make sure that your triangle is even, that fold is even with this center line here. Okay, and fold that all nicely down. Turn it back over. Rotate. Push this point in, pinch this edge together, bring that edge to the center, and fold as far as it'll go. Hold it in place, turn it over. Pop this pocket open and line up, squash fold it so that that fold lines up with this diagonal here. And flatten. Turn it over. Rotate. We're going to do the final one here. So you're going to take this point, push that in, pinch, take this edge, line it up with the center. Turn it over and squash. And make sure that you reach inside and open up that pocket. If it's not open all the way, your triangle is going to not quite line up like this. So you want to make sure that you pop it open all the way and that it opens up right along that edge. So you should have nice triangles like that. So now that we have our two sections like this, this is where you need your tape. What you want to do is you want to tape. If you look at one, you see this here, these corners, you want to tape these two together. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to tape it from this side. Okay. So you have it oriented so that you have your triangles up on top like this. Make sure they're both the same. Line up that edge and make sure this top is lined up. Get your tape and tape the entire edge. So see if you can get it all the way from this edge here. I'm using two sections, a little bit easier for me to manage it that way. So that you have those two edges taped together like this. So does this look familiar? It does, right? So what we're going to do is rotate the model. So that taped edge, let's have it so that it's oriented here on the right side. flip it over. So now you flip it over so that it should look like this, right? You might have this one on overlapping. Regardless, you'll have the petals here. Here's your mountain fold point. So remember what we did was we're going to push this point in. Here's our edge that lines up with this diagonal. So push that point in like this, pinch it, line up that edge to the center diagonal line like that. Same thing, making our crease, turning it over, and opening up our pocket here and squash folding this so that that fold lines up with this diagonal. Go ahead and squash that in like that. Use your creaser, your tool, flatten that out. So now we have to find the one that we didn't attach. So rotate, it's probably hanging out like this, okay? Reach underneath, and here's your the edge. It should be sitting one on top of another. So open it up and put it flat on the table and line up your edges like this, okay? So find those edges, line it up like this, get a piece of tape. Let's tape the outer edge first. And then we're going to tape the rest of it. So tape that final seam. And you do want to make sure that you tape all the way down to the center, okay? So see, the frosted tape looks really good here. Frosted tape is a little bit easier to fold too, because we are folding this. Okay, now we're going to turn it over to the other side. So turn it over to the face side where it has all the petals folded nicely like this. Find your final arrow here. Push that in. Pinch your flap. This edge lines up with this diagonal here. You guys got it now, right? Same thing. Fold that down. Turn it back over. Pop open your pocket here and squash fold it so that that seam or that fold lines up with this edge here. Flatten it out. Use your tool and crease it down nice and flat. Okay, so here's your basic poinsettia, actually. If you make another one that's small from smaller squares, then you'll have one that sits in the middle here and gives it some layers, which is really great. So this is the basic poinsettia model. Now we're going to turn it into our snowflake, which is really, really cool. So you see these layers here, these points here, all these points in here. We're going to work with those, and these are going to turn into spread squashes. I believe that's the correct term for these. So what we want to do is that fold, it's a triangle, kind of a long squat triangle. You want to take this flap, make sure it's flat on the table, and you want to fold it back the other way. So fold it, if it was going up like mine was, I'm taking the whole thing and folding it back like that. So make sure that's a good strong crease. And then what we're going to do is, with any squash folds, take this and bring it straight up from the table. So it's pointing straight up. So you see I have it straight up and centered. Okay, so make sure it's centered. Now from the outside, there's a pocket here. Do you see that? If you take your finger, what we're doing is we're going to squash this whole flap here. I know it's kind of weird, but if you take your finger and go in as far as it'll go, do you see how this starts to open up, this point here? Let's get this down a little bit closer. So again, we took this, we folded it down, brought it up to center, reached inside the layers here with your finger. And if you keep your finger flat on the table, like I'm doing, when you get here, it starts to pop open like this. Oops, like this. What we want to do is we want to flatten this whole thing, and it starts from this middle and ends out here. The key here is to make sure that this seam stays centered. The trick with that is as you open up the paper from the bottom, so you see we opened it up with our finger first. When you flatten the paper and spread those layers, you see how it starts to turn into a triangle. It opens up like this, right? You guys see that? So then now the trick is to continue with that. And if you gently push down and reach the center, it should start to look like this. When it's straight, when it's in the middle, that's when you want to go ahead and squash that in place. So what you might need to do is to get the correct look is, oops, sorry, like that. Okay. You might have some funny edges here in the corner. You can use, you know, your tool to kind of pop it open a little bit, but it should spread and squash very nicely like that. So we're going to get to do this to the other one. So don't worry, we're going to go ahead and repeat it right now. So rotate, take your next corner, fold it back down. Make sure you're folding it right along that fold there. Okay. That's going to help you with your squash. So now that you have that, bring it up to center like this. Find the pocket from the outside. Take your finger and pop it open, but you want to make sure that your finger stays flat against the table. That's going to help you. So when you have it flat against the table and you're pushing in, this will pop open. Very gently from this point, you just want to lightly push down. It pops the whole thing open. And then continue to spread this part here. And you should have a successful squash. That should be, this fold should be centered. Okay, like that. Oops, like that. This is really a fun maneuver. It's great. It's really very satisfying. Okay, rotate. We're going to do the next one. Take that triangle and make sure you fold it back along that spine. I call it a spine. Okay. From the outside, open the layers. Keep your finger flat on the table. As you work it in, it pops open. Push down very carefully through the middle, all the way to the center. And then you want to continue to spread the layers here and squash. Make it nice and flat, rotate. Do it again. Take the triangle, fold it back along the spine. The key is to make sure that these creases are really strong when you do that, okay? Bring it up to the center. Reach in from the outside. Keep your finger flat on the table. Work the paper in. This pops open. It also helps to keep this center flat too. That'll help. So as you work your paper in, so you're going to push down here to pop it, the rest of it open, and continue to spread the layers here. And then you nudge that into place. Make sure that that fold lines up with the center here. So it should come to a point in the center like that, okay? And go ahead and continue. Let's rotate, take the next point, fold it down, bring it up to this center, take from the outside, open the pocket, spread the layers, give it a nudge, push it down here, continue to spread the paper open, continue to push it down and pop it and squash here. Isn't this fun? You guys got it? Take the corner, fold it down, reach inside, keep your finger flat. It'll open the layer. Push it down, pop it open, keep spreading the layer. And this also, helps you keep that symmetry, and that line is nice and centered. Okay, squash it nicely. I've got 2 more to go. I hope you do too. Maybe you're done. I have some fast folders in my class that you guys really do a nice job, and sometimes are ahead of me too. So open it up from the outside. Keep your finger flat on the table. Pop this down, spread the layers, pop it open from the center out, squash the whole thing. And then we have a final one to do. Take that point, fold it back along the spine, bring it to center, slip your finger in the layers on the outside, keep your finger flat on the table till the layers pop open, push it down here, keep spreading the layers, and do your final squash like that. And I'm going to take my tool and flatten everything. Okay, so this is your basic, let's bring this thing up here. Your basic snowflake, you could look at either this way or this way. When you hold it up to the light, well, let's see, this is against a black table, but you can see the layers, which is kind of cool. So here's your basic snowflake. And the variations, you can just go crazy with folding edges in and, experiment. Whatever you do, you want to keep it symmetrical. So whatever you do to one, you can pleat this whole thing, you can fold different layers. So that's, again, I want to show you this maneuver, which is really great. So if you, okay, turn the model over to the part that has all the triangles, like this, right? And you see that you've got a mountain fold radiating from the center here. So what we want to do is take one and then just go ahead and fold it along that fold. Now, if you look on top, you see we have these. Oh, here, let me go down, make it a little bit more. Okay, so we have this. We're pinching this. We want to create a fold that goes from, let's see. So if you flatten it and you have it like this, you want to create a fold that runs right along this edge here. So we're just going to fold this down. So it rides right along this edge here. So remember, the center of the model is here. So it's folds like that. And then take this edge and fold it to this top like this. Okay, so again, we've pinched our fold here. We're taking and we're creating a fold that runs right along this flap here. So it folds down like this. Then we're taking this edge and folding it to meet this top edge here. So it makes like a dart like this. Okay, that you want to make sure that that's a really strong crease, because you want to unfold it and fold it back the other way. So you could turn the model over to the other side, and let's reverse the direction of those folds. So we want to take that and fold it down. You could just follow the folds that you just created, and then this is going to fold back up. Okay. Now we want to unfold it. Now you see you have your little fan up here. So it's a matter of making it symmetrical. And the way you do that is we're just going to take this one So this fold should be, the one on the outside should be a mountain fold. And then the next one should be valley fold. Right? So you make your fan like that. That's a really cool detail for this this model here. So have fun with this. I think this is really great.